Hello, everyone. I'm super excited about this segment. We're first starting with City and Influence Gown. I have some special guests here, all the way from Texas, and I'm super excited to get into ownership, survival to ownership. The theme of that is touching, I would say, touching the core of a lot of people's stories of where they come from and where they are at now. So I was super excited to get into their story, what who they are, what they do, and their successful story. So starting with this lovely lady.
Hello, my name is Dezreal Parker. I'm a mortgage loan originator. I got into this industry because my husband is a realtor and I seen his interaction with different lenders and loan originators, and I just and felt like I could be a good fit. I felt like I brought something to the industry when it comes to communication, when it comes to intentionality, and I just want to bring that to realtors, to buyers, and be a person that could stand in the gap for them and really advocate for them. And that's been my history, and that's been my success in this industry. It's not an easy industry, but my goal in my heart is to be there for people, to advocate for people, to help them to see their dreams and their vision come together as home buyers. So, yeah.
My name is Jayce Parker, and she said I'm a licensed realtor in Texas. And I got started. I've always been in sales, and I was working one sales job, and I had a consistent client who was a realtor, and I would just talk with him every time he came in the store, and just through conversation, I figured that it was something that I wanted to try out. And once I got started in it, just kind of just kept growing, and I always had a heart for people. But as I started to sell homes, I started to realize that I was really in a position to make an impact on people's lives, opportunity to change people's lives. Small part of it, but yeah. So that's pretty much why I got into it, or how I got into it, and um, what I enjoy doing. My biggest passion behind it is guiding people into home ownership and just being an impact into somebody's life, making a change, making a difference.
Okay, so I want to start with you guys' story. Obviously, I probably should have addressed the male in the room that got his wife into this field, this amazing field of their journey to success. But how did you guys start? And like, what was something, like you said a little bit about it, of how you got into it, but what was something that pushed you into like seeing a bigger vision of, okay, this can really mean something for us, not only as married couple, but thinking in the future of longevity, financial freedom, and all that good stuff.
So really, it started with, so I was working retail sales, and I was missing out on life a lot. Like I was, family functions, holidays, all of that kind of stuff. I was just missing, because I had to work, and everybody's going out doing this, doing that, and I'm at work. And so I realized that I needed to do something that was gonna take me out of the clocking in 9 to 5.
So when you saying that you were familiar with anything that had to do with real estate before you even started?
Um, a little bit, but I not, or at least I thought I did. I thought I did until I actually got into it, and I realized like, okay, yeah, it's a lot more into it than what I initially thought. Um, so, but again, the main thing that pushed me out the door of my job was just wanting to stop clocking in and working the 9 to 5, and then, but then, like you said, to speak to the question of the future and the finances of it, my client that would come in that wasn't a realtor, he's a successful realtor, and I see the lifestyle that he has and the things that he was coming into the store to buy, and I'm like, man, I want to experience this, and and I'm a believer in God, and I believe that God has the best for me, and so I just felt like being there, I wasn't maximizing my potential, and so I felt like stepping out and doing that, and it was definitely stepping out on faith to do so. um and but I could see the possibility, the financial possibility of it, things like that. So
And I'm sure it wasn't like an automatic breakthrough of like, okay, let me quit the job. What would you say, what was the span time before actually having the idea to actually making the decision to move by for it?
um I guess it was probably so I went through real estate school while I'm still working my job. And then once I was licensed, I still had my job for probably a year, I guess, maybe so, like a year or so. Trying to do both because I was like, I don't know, if it's gonna work. So I was like, I'm gonna still try to depend on my paycheck. But in real estate, if you're gonna be successful at it, you gotta go full force. Yeah, there's not a lot of successful agents who work a job and do real estate. So, and I really wanted to become successful at it, and I realized that I was gonna have to just step out and do it if I wanted to be successful at it. So that was really just it. It was just like
And I think that is part of like the percentile of people that actually go against the grind are kind of like understand that they have to go all in. Like they can't tippy toe on what it is that God is calling for them to do, but they have to go all into it and step out on faith, because not only was he stepping out on faith for him, but also for his wife. And so I just believe that people that are watching this can understand that some things that you are called to do require your 100% of your focus, but you have to make that decision. It is you that is holding yourself back. But once you get out of that space, you now enter into success. What determines a person to get approved?
It's a lot of factors. How long they've been working, how long they've been in business, because you have things like what we call non-QM or non-qualified mortgage. So maybe you're not a person who works a 9 to 5 and you get W-2s, but how long have you been in business? Are you keeping track of your bank statements, things like that? So we're gonna want to know: are you working? Has it been consistent? Are you consistently bringing in your income? Credit score. Credit score is a big one. A lot of people want to say, I want that first time home buyer. I want to pay 3% down. I want to pay 3.5% down. Well, you got to have the credit score for that. There's no way around that, so you want at least a 580. That's going to be, the entry level. But the higher credit score, the better your credit score. I mean, the higher credit score, the better your interest rate. So things like that matter. Also, a big thing that people don't know about or they don't think about. So maybe they have the income, maybe they have the credit score, but they have a lot of things in payments. So we're going to look at something called debt to income. So if you spend a lot of your income on car notes and credit cards and things, that affects what you qualify for, because a large portion of your income is already going to, something. So, we look at 45% of your income. It needs to cover the things that you have in debt plus the home that you want. And the home that you want is going to include your mortgage. It's going to include insurance. It's going to include taxes. So 45 of your income, we're going to look at that and how much of that is going to your new home that you're about to acquire, plus all of the debt that you have. When you're getting ready to buy a home, is get those liabilities down, get the things that you have going out down for closing.
What are common fears that people, when they come to you guys or just you, what are common fears that people often have about like buying a home in that process?
That they can't do it. That's really just it, that they can't do it. And it's not that they can't, they just don't know. And so once we start breaking it down to them, once we start giving them the realities of it, and I start looking at their numbers, and I'm like, oh, this is absolutely possible. This is absolutely possible. So the reason why pre-approval is so good and it's so important, it kind of gives you the reality check you need for what's possible. I think a lot of times people are looking at these, large amount dollar homes because that's what, that's what's out there, and you think that's what you want. But then once you start seeing what is available for you in your price range or vice versa. They're looking really low. They're looking really low because they think that's all that they can afford, and then they think there's nothing out there for me in this price range. And I'm like, hey, you're looking at 100,000. Would you really qualify for 175,000? And now that it opens up for them. So a lot of times they've already put themselves in a box, whether they think they want this much money and then they realize they can't get it in that amount. But once I tell them, say, hey, this is what you qualify, now they can actually see what's in their price range and they can see what's possible for them. And hey, maybe they do want those higher priced houses. That's when we can have the conversation of, okay, well, this is what we need to do. This is the game plan. So that's just the biggest fear, not knowing or thinking that they're able to do so. Like I had a client recently, we're actually getting ready to close here soon. She literally was like, well, what do I need to do to get ready for closing? I ran her credit, did her, and I'm like, you're pre-approved. Yeah. She's like, what? You're pre-approved. This is what you qualify. She was already looking in the price range or dreaming in the price range that I gave her, and I actually pre-approved her for more than the house that she is buying. So she was already on track. She had money saved up. It wasn't a huge amount, but she had money saved up. Their credit score wasn't the best credit score. It was actually on the lower end, but it still made room for them to do what they need to do. They're still able to get those first-time home buyer interest rates and down payment. So
Okay, so I think you both can answer this.
So, what are the mental habits, the financial responsibilities, and things that people actually take care of to become a successful home buyer versus the people that actually don't take the initiative to do that, be disciplined about their finances? I would say, what does that look like for?
awareness so I see a lot of the financial side of things. Okay. The clients who I feel like are the most successful, and surprisingly, they've been my young clients. They are aware of their finances. They're not crazy spenders. They don't have a lot of going on. They have savings accounts set up. They had high yield savings accounts set up. They have a goal in mind. They already come in knowing that home ownership is something that's on their to-do list. So I think it's just a habit of just being aware of your finances, knowing that your finances have to work for you. The thing that people don't realize is you want this house, but you're going to be paying $15,000 at closing, and they're like, what?
Yeah. But what are some things that they have to sacrifice? Like not, okay, so you look at their finances, okay, so you're spending all this, and this, but it's not catering to what your goal is. What are some things that they had to actually sacrifice and not do?
The one client then who was like, me and my family, we're not eating out. We're not eating out for this. That's a big sacrifice. When you got kids, that's just a thing. But that, again, that goes to awareness. Eating out, a lot of people don't even know how much they spend. I think just the biggest habit of being successful is aware of your finances. A lot of people they get their money in and their money goes out. I don't know how many bank statements I get where the money comes in, it's almost exactly the money going out. Exactly the money out. So that means your money, you're spending all of your money every single month. None of it's being put away. None is being saved. What goes in is going out. And whether that be to bills, whether that be to, extracurricular spending, things like that. And I mean, that's just the way we are. That's how we operate. But I think if you want to be successful, it's, hey, start putting up some money, start saving up some money, not even just for a home, but for life. If you have bills, you want to be saving up in half, emergency funds and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, it would be.
Educating yourself, so for one, it would be like people who are going to watch this, it's like take what we're talking about and then look further into it, educate yourself as you really want to become a homeowner. Yeah, look into some things so that when you go into the process, you're a little bit familiar with what you're being told or what you're being coached to do. Yeah, and that's another thing is being coachable, being open, having an open mindset.
I was just thinking, okay, so what are some cosmetic, like, value?
I want to add something to
okay.
that. what he was just saying too. And another thing that when it comes to taxes is it fluctuates. What you go into, you might see your mortgage at this rate this year, but they're assessing your taxes every year. So a lot of times I get clients say, well, my mortgage is supposed to be this amount of money, but think the things that are going to stay the same if you get a fixed this is if you get a fixed interest rate. Your principal and interest is going to stay the same, but your taxes and insurance can change. Your tax rate is going to change. So what it was in the beginning is going to be reevaluated and it's going to change. So that's something to think about when it comes to taxes too. And your loan is, a lot of times people go in and they're at the top of their mortgage budget, but they don't realize like, hey, this may not be it forever. So kind of giving yourself that wiggle room in the top of your budget for if taxes or insurance fluctuate is something to think about.
Yeah, that's a really good comment.
Another thing with taxes is the only way to get over that is to dispute the taxes, but there's no guarantee that your dispute will get approved. That's the only way you can do that. And it's kind of like it's not necessarily a good thing to do either, because if you're disputing the taxes, you're also disputing your property value as well, because the only way they're assessing your taxes and they're giving you your tax amount based off the tax rate, but that tax rate is multiplied against what they think the value of your home is. So the only way for your taxes to go down is for you to say, well, my home is not valued as much as you think it's valued. So it's kind of like, well, who wants to really do that?
Okay, but would that affect when they what is it when you get an appraised? Would it affect that?
No.
Okay.
No, it wouldn't. It's a lot of gray in there. It's a lot of gray in there, but no, it wouldn't. So it's just a little tip that you can dispute your taxes. There's no guarantee that it'll get approved, but it's worth the try. Especially because if you decide to sell, it's not going to affect the appraisal, because somebody is going to actually come out and appraise your home based on the market rate and not on what the city or county believes the home is worth.
I see. Okay. Last question before I ask you guys about some other things. What are some cosmetic things that people can do to up the value of their home?
I see a question for sure.
So there's not really a lot of cosmetic things, like as far as like a lot of people think that, because they got new floors in, or they put new carpet in, or they changed the countertops, or they painted the walls, none of that stuff is going to raise the value of your home. I'm serious.
No.
Changing the roof will change the value of your home. Putting a new roof on it.
Is landscape?
No.
Are you serious?
Yeah, landscaping is not going to improve the value of your home. It's going to be things that are going to protect the home that will improve the value. So like now if you put new windows, energy efficient windows, that'll increase the value of your home. Put in a new roof will increase the value of your home. Maybe put in a new AC system will increase the value of your home. But it's because other things like if you add a bathroom or add a bedroom, those things will increase the value. Adding square footage, living space, those things. But when it comes to selling your home and the appraiser comes, he's not going to walk in and say, oh, they got granite countertops, and he's not going to, that doesn't matter, so that's not going to change it. So yeah, as long as the home is safe, there's no safety hazards, then they're gonna look at it just like they look at the other recent sales, and they're not comparing.
So that was on the last question, but I also have a question. So what actually allows a home to appreciate? So, and also like, do you look for a certain neighborhood that would accommodate? Okay, so yeah, let's go there. So if those things don't help,
so
you have to.
So basically, sell price. I mean, let me see. It doesn't. Those things don't help in the appraiser's eyes. So when you're going out for a home, if you're gonna buy a home and you say, okay, I want this one, and once you get with the loan officer and we're in under contract and everything, at some point they're gonna send the appraiser out to go and look at the house and make sure that the home is valued at whatever sale price we've agreed on, right? So that person isn't coming in and looking and saying, oh, look at the carpet, the tile, and all that. So those things are going to make him say, oh, yeah, this home is worth this.
Right.
So, but for the person that's actually buying the home, of course, you pick the home because you like those cosmetic things, right? So it does help. It helps me sell the home. It helps buyability. Yeah, thank you. It helps the buyability. So that is what helps homes appreciate. It's what it helps other homes appreciate. So if you get a buyer in and he agrees, okay, yeah, I'll buy this home for $200,000. So now that this home has sold for $200,000, well, the neighbor is going to sell his home now. Now he knows, okay, I can get at least $200,000 because this home right next to me just sold for $200,000, and we have the same number of bedrooms, a same square footage, and so now you got two homes that have sold for $200,000, and they both had 4 bedrooms, right? Well, now the home 2 streets over, well, I have 5 bedrooms, so I should be able to sell for 225, so then that sells and then now paid. So, and so on and so on. So it's a domino effect. And so that's how the market trends and that's how homes appreciate.
So when somebody's down the street selling their home, is it a good sign to be like, okay, if they're thinking about it, okay, it's a good time to see about selling, possibly, potentially. Okay.
Depending on how fast it sells.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything following that you want to say that is upon your heart? Just closing out.
Let me say this first.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to speak on what she said about, finding somebody that's trustworthy, and asking, because it is very important, to do thorough research about who you're working with, whether it's your realtor, your loan officer, whatever. In this industry, we form a lot of relationships. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, if you find one person that's trustworthy, deal with them to help you, or trust them to help you connect the dots with everybody else. Because in that situation where they purchased a home less than 5 years ago, now this is just a speculation, but they didn't use a realtor. They just got they knew someone that built homes, that was a builder. And who's to say that builder may be in partnership with the inspector? Unfortunately, things like that happen all the time, to where it's like, hey, we're gonna do this. We're gonna, when you come through, inspect it. Don't put, keep this out of your report. Whatever. Like she said, unfortunately, a lot of people are just in it for a quick buck, and people will do crazy things just to walk away with a little bit of extra money. Unfortunately, so it is very important to find someone that's trustworthy. And trust them to help you connect the dots. And I guess that would lead me into, the next question, as far as like, I can't speak for anybody else, but I can speak for us. We're trustworthy people. We pray for our clients. We, every deal we're doing everything that we can that's in our control. And then once we get to that point of, okay, this is not in our control, we lean on God. We're trusting God in every situation, and we just believe in Him to help us see it through, because we look at, one thing I do is I pray for my clients, and I pray to God, and I trust God, and I ask God to, and I thank God for putting me in a position to be a vessel to bring people to home ownership, because I believe that people are trusting Him and praying to Him for a home, and I get to be the person that He uses to help answer that prayer, and I don't take that lightly. So, so that's, I can't tell people how to find somebody like me. I can't. I don't know, but just call me.
Yes, just to echo that same sentiment, that same heart towards our clients, is truly believing, like, you're believing for this
opportunity of home ownership, and God sent me. God's using me to be a vessel, and I'm going to advocate for you. Finding that person that's going to advocate for you, that's going to see your needs, that's going to help you to see the vision for, I truly believe in Habakkuk 2:2, right? The vision, make it plain, and he that readeth it will run with it. And so my biggest thing with my clients is seeing the visions that they have for home ownership and yoking up to that vision so that I can help them to even walk it out and make it possible. One, because you have a vision, I have the ability to see it come together, and then I'm trusting God along with that. But just to encourage people even more outside of, of course, finding people you trust, and and I want to encourage people to know that it is so possible to be a homeowner. If that's something you've been dreaming about, that's something you see for your life. I know that's not everybody's dream, but I'm talking to the people who've been like, man, I really wish I could own a home. I never seen my mom, I never seen my grandma, I never seen nobody in my family own a home. I don't think this is something that's possible. Like, I want to encourage you that this is something that is possible for you.
Amen.
And just have the vision for it. Trust yourself. Get connected with those right people that you can trust, and know that God can bring this about for you. And then, like Jay spoke about earlier, is being coachable, and even going into this process. Faith without works is dead. And being a homeowner is a big faith step. It's one of the hugest investments you'll make in your life. Whether you find your forever home, or you find a home you want to be in the next 5 to 7 years of your life, it's a huge investment. So it's going to take some faith, and it's going to take some work. So there's some things that you're going to have to get disciplined within yourself. But if you know that this is something that you desire, it is absolutely possible for you to do.
That was such an incredible interview, and I'm so glad that they were able to come all the way from Texas just to share some of the things that they know about real estate, and just going into that ownership and the backstory of some of the things that people probably have misconceptions about or probably don't know of. I'm just so excited. That interview went very, very well. If you guys have any other questions that you want to ask either of them, their information is going to be linked to this video on all platforms. So I'm so excited that you joined, and make sure you be sure to share.